What's up? This is kind of a clickbait title, but it is true. Because if you look at my past videos, I did predict Ethereum going to 1300. I mean 3600. Like I predicted it 2 weeks ago, and obviously I didn't get the exact price right, but it went to like 3550 or something like that, 3500 I guess. So it was a little bit lower than what I expected, but I'll talk about why I expected this and what I'm planning to do now. And unfortunately, I trade Fidelity Ethereum fund, so I couldn't actually buy this dip. But if it went, like, if I could have bought this 3,500 dip, I would have. And I was trying to actually buy Dogecoin, right here. Like, I literally was, because I had some Ethereum in my Coinbase, but I mainly use Fidelity. And I was trying to convert all my Ethereum to Dogecoin at this point, but Coinbase glitched and it didn't let me. But I would have made so much money if that happened. But anyways, I'll talk about why I thought this was going to happen to begin with and what I'm going to do now. So basically, why I thought this was going to happen was because we've been rallying since 1400, right? So I've experienced all of this and all of this. Like I've had positions pretty much this past like 10-12 months, right? And I really experienced this, and I remember all of these moves up, right? And here no one believed in Ethereum. People were shitting on Ethereum here. No one believed in Ethereum here. No one believed in Ethereum here. No one believed, like, people were just starting to talk about Ethereum here. Like, this is when I feel like the stablecoin narrative and the Ethereum treasury narrative just started happening, right? And then everyone was talking about Ethereum here, and everyone, when the all-time high was swept, everyone was talking about it, right? And I did have some theories like, oh, we might go to like 5100 before we dropped, or we could just drop from here. And honestly, I did lean towards 5100 and then dropping, just for some other reasons that I'm not going to get into. But it ended up, we just ended up dropping, and that's probabilities, right? It was like 60-40. I felt like we are going to hit 5100 then drop, but that never happened. But we ended up dropping, which was like my whole base case anyways. But why I kind of thought we were going to drop was because everyone started talking about Ethereum, right? And September was historically a bad month, so I really sold my positions like 4,500, and I was like things just aren't going to get better here, you know? And I really was kind of wrong about September, but I ended up pivoting to October would be bad, and they're kind of totally different ideas. So I thought September would be bad just because it's historically bad, but then I was looking at other statistics, like this statistic. So basically, if you have this, so January to September is plus 10%, then October is historically bad, with a bad October being towards the end, right? So like October itself is pretty spotty. So I did expect some volatility in October, and I guess volatility is sooner rather than later, because we were only like halfway into October, right? And now we have this big scare, right? But November is historically really, really well, and the Q4 performance is historically really, really well. So I do think we have upside, but the statistics aren't. But this is just one statistic, right? So I'm kind of like flip-flopping to what I'm thinking about for the future and why I thought it was going to drop. So let me go back to why I thought it was going to drop, right? So everyone was talking about Uptober, right? Like I remember when October just got here, like we literally just started flying, right? And I saw memes on Reddit about Uptober and how Bitcoin always goes up in October, right? And then I was thinking about a sentiment standpoint, and I was like, all of these retail people are probably just buying in, and that's why we're going up, right? And then once all of these people are buying in, we're gonna dump. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's exactly what happened, and a lot of people probably panic sold right now, and I feel like now might be the time where things start going up, but I don't think it's certain right now, and that's because of the SPY. because I think crypto, like Bitcoin and Ethereum, heavily track the SPY, and I think that's because they're risk assets. So whenever the SPY goes down, then people are going to want to de-risk, and that means selling Ethereum, selling Bitcoins, obviously selling altcoins, right? And I'm not sure the SPY drop is over yet, so I've been running some like data and stuff like that, and I kind of want to show you. So basically this is all of the data when the SPY closes between 2.25 and 3.25, and we closed at 2.7. So I did like a little range, and I didn't want to get like too far out of that range to mess up the distribution. So the average 1 week is 0.9, but I do think there's volatility both ways, right? Like we could definitely continue dropping more, or we could just kind of peter here, or we could just fly up in the sky, right? And I don't think each side is determined. I think statistics point towards upwards, but it's not guaranteed, right? And like, let's say I were to heavily position, like, do I really want to heavily position when it's 60-40, right? Because I've already lost a 60-40 idea to begin with, right? So it's like, how can I make myself more certain and positive territory? And I was running some like tests, and I was like, okay, what are the 2-month returns when the 1 week is positive, right? So the average is 6.2%, the median is 6%, and then the best is 32%, and the worst is 21%. But the winners are, like, you basically win most of the time. So you get 83% of the time you're winning, right? So like if the 1 week return for next week, like if Friday we end positive, I'm gonna buy Ethereum, because I think the next 2 months will be good, kind of, is what I'm getting at, right? And then this would have confluence with this, because then that means November and probably some of December would be good, right? And that means probably a good Q4 overall, right? And that's kind of confluence with this data right here. So I really do think the next, depending on how this week goes, the next 2 months should be good, and they should be relatively risk-free to over-risk, right? Because the real only reason you make money is by over-risking the SPY. So I'm gonna over-risk in this certain time window because the data aligns with what I think, with the data aligns with making money, kind of, you know what I mean? The data is like, you should over-risk because the outcome is so much in your favor, and there's always the small chance of it not working out for you, but in order to make money you have to risk money, and over time, if the probabilities are truly in your favor, you will make money. But you do have to have proper risk management. You don't want to full port your portfolio onto this, and you should have like stop losses, but overall, like, you should be fine putting a bunch of money in Ethereum and stuff like that. So yeah, so like 2 month returns, you have an 83% win rate. And then if you were just to buy back now, look, the overall 2 month average is 3%, but when the 1 week was positive, it's 6.2%, right? And that's a huge difference, right? And there obviously is some negatives, right? The average of a negative is 5%. So basically what this data is telling us, in my opinion, is that there is a small chance that this entire rally is over, right? And what I mean by that is, so I'm kind of getting kind of distracted, but basically what the data is telling us is that sometimes there'll be like a tick up like this, and then we just fucking like crash, right? That's kind of what the vibes that I'm getting are, especially when the max drawdown is like 20% or something like that. Like, I feel like they're just really not that good for us. I mean, was the average of, okay, so the average for the negative is, okay, so I guess it's really not even that bad. The worst case is just like this, which I don't think is likely at all, just because this drop reminds me of this drop. in the sense that there's definitely a bunch of volume here, and um yeah, just kind of the volume, and that we haven't had a mean reversion in kind of a while, and we haven't had a mean reversion in kind of a while here. So I do think the 1 week might be good, and then maybe we could peter off, but then we'll definitely get a rally. And if you look at this is kind of like the 2 month stat here. We are technically up, if that makes any sense, but then things crash. So I do think we should be looking at like a 2 month basis. And I definitely think putting like risk here shouldn't be too bad. I mean, like if you're to buy here and then sell here, I guess you would really be down on ETH. But I think that's because ETH was like kind of in a downtrend anyways. My base case though is really things just continue kind of going higher. Just because I've been playing with a bunch of ideas, and so I do think like maybe we could get like a mean reversion. And if we do, I think this rally will last for years longer. Otherwise, if we do not get a mean reversion on the 20-week SMA, I think we will just fly higher and we'll get euphoria for the next like month or two, and then things will end up really, really bad, and we could like have a meltdown or crazy crash. It really depends on when that crazy crash is coming. Is it coming 2026, or is it coming in like 2028 or something, right? Like it's very hard to predict that stuff, which is why you kind of have to predict stuff on like, I feel like a rolling 2 month basis. And for the SPY, as long as this is good, I think crypto should be fine, since this this drop in crypto really seemed like a liquidity sweep, and then we can make our way back up. I think we pretty much bottomed on everything, in my opinion, but that doesn't mean we can double bottom. Like I really do think there is a chance we could like probably do something like this and then maybe go up, but it's obviously not guaranteed, and we could just fly higher like this. I mean, it's kind of hard to predict on the smaller time frames like this, but I really do think this statistic is very interesting. So when the 1 week was positive after this, then the 2 month is usually positive, and it's pretty positive, right? So especially like the 75th percentile is like really good. Even the 25th percentile is pretty decent. Yeah, and I really am kind of bullish on Ethereum. So like my base case have been bullishness. So I really do think that since my frame of mind is bullish, if the statistics back it up under certain circumstances, then I think it's fine to over risk, not over, like put yourself in an over risking position relative to the SPY, right? Like if I were to put 50 to like 70% of my portfolio in Ethereum, that would be definitely over risking, but I don't think that's bad risk management, because I have two narratives that I think will play out for Ethereum, which are the Ethereum upgrade happening in late November or early December, and staking ETFs. I really do think those two narratives will push Ethereum higher, especially like I did this a while ago, but I haven't recently. But one of the Ethereum upgrades wasn't true, but like this was an Ethereum upgrade, and then the price pretty much surged up to that upgrade. And I do think a lot of price surges in Ethereum have happened because of an upgrade, and then this was an ETF for Ethereum. So I really do think these two narratives could push Ethereum higher, especially in like a euphoric risk on environment, which I do think is likely to happen in the next 2 months. Whether this has longevity or not, I think depends on this mean reversion, because I did talk about this earlier, but Okay. All right. I don't want to talk about this. I want to talk about something else. Sorry. Just area risk. But basically, right now we're at 680, which is like one of the highest areas, and this is percentage wise, right? One of the highest percentage wise areas above the 20-week SMA before a mean reversion. And right now, this is kind of tracking 1990s, right? Like, not exactly, but like 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. But like I kind of think this might be 3. Then this is similar to this. Then we have this run up, which is similar to this, and we still have more to go in this run up maybe. And then we enter like a multi-year distribution phase, and then we have a huge crashes. Like if I think we're tracking the 90s, which is probable from like a mean like this, and this is very similar to this, and this, right? And then I think we have like a bunch of mean reversions around the 20-week SMA, basically liquidating both the bulls and the bears, right? And then we have like our crazy crashes for the next years, honestly. Then, whatever happens here. But I do think we're like at the tail end of like some crazy rally, because if you really look at this, like since 2009, like look at these rallies, right? Like we were always having like a bunch of euphoria. Then even like the 22 bear market like was not bad really, right? 2020 was not even that bad either, right? Like look at 2003, right? Look at these 2000s here. Look at 2008, right? Like these are crazy drops that we have not experienced in decades, right? And I really do think we're due for one. But saying we're due for one and one actually happening could be like a year difference, right? It could be years and years, right? And I think these usually happen after like multi-year distributions and stuff like this, and then there's big warning signs and stuff like that. So yeah, yeah. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, and I really do think this is like one of the last euphoria runs before like some huge distribution phase. And if you look at the 1990s, this was kind of the last one. So I mean, I really do think this is kind of how I think the 2021 and the 1990s are kind of merging. I think we're actually farther along in the 1990s than most people think, and then that kind of leads to the 2021 thing, right? Like this 2021 euphoria run might be similar to this, and I think this is what we're gonna get here, and then I think we're gonna get some distribution thing, and yeah. So that's kind of like my theory, and I don't think we're gonna crash now, just because there hasn't been any distribution. And really, like after every big crash, there's always a distribution. Like this was distribution right here, right? Like you have this low volume here, like these low volumes, and then you have slightly elevated volumes while nothing's going on, right? This, in my opinion, is distribution. Right, like even in this, right? Like what is this? Like you have these elevated volume right here, distribution, right? And then you have your sell-off, right? But even this right here, in my opinion, like all of this area right here is kind of distribution. Here, I think this was a flash crash because of COVID, but I don't think some COVID type of thing is going to happen, right? You know what I mean? Like obviously not all, but like even this entire thing, like this was kind of distribution in my opinion. Like the smart money kind of distributed here, and dumb money bought the dips here, and then we crashed, people capitulated, and then smart money bought back up. It's kind of how I see it. This was just kind of like a flash crash because no one knew what was going to happen in COVID, right? But like under normal economic things, I think people can really see the distribution. Like in my opinion, all of this was distribution. Like look at all this pickup and volume, right? And then months later we had a flash crash, right? But this was after distribution, right? And the same thing for like, I mean, I guess we might, but like look at this. This was like a year of distribution, right? In my opinion, all of this was distribution, right? But that's just my opinion, right? I think we're gonna get some type of distribution like that. Um, like sometime soon. But yeah. But for what I'm gonna do, I kind of just yapped about all my thoughts, but that's fine. So that's what I do best. But I'm really, um, my plan, and I've really been thinking about like what's the best way to make sure I don't lose money, right? Because I want to make money, but I also don't want to lose money, right? And I think the best way is to wait for a week, right? Where is it? Yeah. So basically, wait for a week and then buy in if the 1 week is positive. And if that's true, I have an 83% win rate, in my opinion, because that would kind of confirm that the SPY is going up. And then I can see if we're entering a distribution phase or not. And if we aren't, we should be experiencing euphoria, right? And if we are entering a distribution phase, I'll just cut my Ethereum, honestly. And if we are entering euphoria, I should be making a bunch of money, right? Um, yeah, and then I can kind of make my money back on the VIX, I feel like, because when you see distributions happen like this, you can kind of just kind of hedge the VIX. I mean, the VIX is kind of risky, but I do think like the chances of me losing both of those ideas are very low. I could lose one and win the other, or I could, you know, like win on one. But if I win on one, I do think I would net be up. And then there is a chance I could win on both, right? But I'm not banking on it, right? Um, but yeah, I do think this little conditional thing in confluence with this thing would be very helpful to just make money in November, right? Just buying risk assets and stuff like that. Obviously not full porting, but putting a sizable amount of my portfolio just because I believe in actually, I like my core thesis is I believe in Ethereum over the next few months. But I did think it needed some type of scare because people were overly bullish on it. People were talking about it way too much, and people need to be scared, honestly. So I do think that's what's kind of happening. And I do have another theory, which kind of plays into the euphoria that I expect to happen over the next few months. And I'll go on Reddit and I'll tell you what I mean. So, like if we go to the crypto markets and we go to Yanu, Trump posts that we don't need to worry about China. Happy days. Crypto got just short of 9 billion, but we're probably not at the worst yet. This rail re-shorted again. What do you think will happen next? Let me see what people are. Bro, I don't even get to see that. That's kind of bullshit. Quick question. I was just curious if I had a stop loss, would the stop loss not get filled because of the volatility? What should be learned about crypto? All right, so what I'm kind of thinking, I need to tell you what I was thinking. So what I'm thinking is I've seen crypto ads recently, and I think this is volatility therapy for the people getting into retail. And I think this volatility therapy, especially in cryptocurrency, because I think cryptocurrency, my base case is that this will experience a euphoria run, right? Like there's not been any parabolic runs, and I think this will happen very, very soon. And I think Ethereum will go to like 7, 8K, right? And maybe Bitcoin can go to like 140, 150, right? And I think this euphoria will hit everyone and will basically just fucking fly in the sky. And I think this is like all volatility therapy for retail, right? Like you've just, like people get into like, because I've been seeing ads in September. So people get in crypto, they see this, then they see this capitulatory move, then they see this euphoria move, right? Then maybe the SPY has been distributing like in a distribution phase, and then everything crashes, and then maybe retail thinks it's like a dip to buy, and then they buy the dip while smart money sells into their hands. That's been kind of my idea, and I really do think this is kind of playing out where people are like, what's been learned about cryptocurrency? Quick question: volatility, right? Bitcoin dropped next bear market. Was this flash crash coordinated? I mean, people are just kind of like this volatility is in their minds, and it will be in their minds during the next crash, right? Yeah, they're talking about all of this volatility, and they're talking about the system is, I mean, I don't know what this guy's talking about, honestly. How will crypto react? Yeah, I really do. I mean, I feel like yesterday, wish I had money to buy the dip. When you think you're going to become rich, when Bitcoin hits 126K, then goes to 108K, but you lose your life savings in a heartbeat. Yeah, this guy got liquidated. Single digits, yeah, so you got liquidated. Missed the golden dip and still crying. How do you guys never miss these rallies? Help, I need advice on what I should have in my portfolio. Anyone loading up? Curious if anyone's doing the same, and what are you guys eyeing? And then every YouTube. But I was actually kind of predicting a drop, honestly, even though no one watches my YouTube, albeit, honestly. But yeah, I guess I'm not a YouTuber. And these videos are half for myself anyways. What coin should I buy? Huge opportunity. What triggered this plunge? The market is recovering. Is this a good time to buy? I don't know why everyone is freaking out. For me, it's just really a lot of volatility. Breathe with me. I bought near the top. What is going on? Should I sell my profits? Yes, this is when the crash was actually happening, right? Bitcoin is expensive depending on how you look at it. I mean, obviously you'd say that after a 15% drop, right? Yeah, I really do think this is kind of volatility therapy for all the new people getting in. I think there was one person talking. I thought there was people talking about how they're new, but you see, look, what should be learned about cryptocurrency? Hey everyone, I'm new to this world of crypto. You see, and now he's just getting exposed to this volatility. Did we just enter? People are kind of respecting. And one thing I do think about this dip is people are respecting it, right? I think if this was the final dip, people would not respect it, and people would just be jumping to buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. But people aren't doing that. People are respecting this drop. And I think once the drop isn't respected, then I think we have a problem on our hands. That's just my opinion. I did kind of talk about what my plans were and stuff like that. So I'm just going to sit on my hands for another week. And it'll probably be a month. I've just been sitting in cash, which, I mean, low-key it worked out for Ethereum so far, right? Since I sold it 44.80 to be exact. But I mean, obviously it could just fucking go up and I could be down, but at least I didn't get to experience all of this volatility, and I got to watch firsthand people be scared and stuff like that. And I did protect myself against a potential crash, and statistics are in my favor, stuff like that, right? So if I wait 1 week and it's positive, then I do think we'll be good. And then yeah, so that's basically it. I don't really have too much more to talk about. I don't want to talk forever, but yeah, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and stuff like that, and like the video since you're probably the only one watching it, right? Yeah, so see ya.